Hello everybody and welcome back to the Computer Science of Dentistry channel. I know it's been a while since the last video, but hopefully it'll be worth the wait. I've been working very hard, kind of grinding away, nights, weekends, basically any moment I have to really develop what we have existing as D3 mesh into something that is basically a whole new beast. Let me just bring it up and we'll jump right into it. And we're kind of code naming it right now, D3Lab. It's probably going to be the one that sticks, but for now, that's what I got going, and this will be available very soon. So let's kind of show you what I have first and foremost. Basically, from your input scan, you can now generate. Let's see if I can show you here. All of these different things. All the different tools here are all working. As far as I know, I've tested them to the best of my ability on as many different models as I can. And like I said, I basically use this on a daily basis anyway. So it's something that I use regularly, and I hope that everyone else will use it in the same way, and it's as easy to use as I think it is. So the big difference, like I said, is that all these work now. Every single tool here works. There's more tools. There's different things. And these are some of the things that I just got done making earlier on this morning. I'll just quickly kind of show you some of them. And these are all generated just from these two scans. So those are the two scans. First thing we have is it's just the base model. And now there's kind of a new naming scheme here as you build things. Whatever tool you used, it will show that plus in parentheses what the original model was that you used to make it on. So it just kind of helps keep things organized a little bit. And I do realize, kind of looking at this right now, it looks a little a little overwhelming, I guess. But once you start getting a bit more complicated with what you're doing, this comes in really handy. You really need to know like what models are what and where they came from. So this is just good for that. Help keep things organized. And more than likely, you probably won't be doing all of these things at once anyway. So like I said, it just looks overwhelming, but in fact, it's actually a very nice thing to have. So first thing, we got our base model, normal. We do have a segmentation algorithm running now, and this was the result of that. It basically segments out the gingiva and everything else, and then the teeth. It's not perfect. It doesn't automatically always segment each part of the, like sometimes the tooth will be in half, so you have to combine the two pieces or something like that. But it's a really good start, and it's very easy to take that initial segmentation and make it into a complete one, no problem. So that's the result of that segmentation. And it also spits out just the gingiva in case you need to do something with that later. I'm thinking you could use this if you were doing a full mouth extraction case and you needed a simulation of what their jaw would look like. So from here, and this gets spit out, you get the combined model, you get the gingiva, and you get the teeth. And so you can see there, like those two are separated in color, but if you it's really easy just to double click, and press G, or there's a tool up here to make a face group, but or Control G, sorry. And there you go. And it just combines it into one. That's easy, but anyway, so there's the teeth here, and segments out the teeth, the gingiva, and then, like I said, it's combined. But for the gingiva one, let's see if this works. I haven't tried this actually, but if I do inspector and do, this might be weird, but let me try a smooth fill here. Just go like that. See what happens. Yeah, it's not bad. So that's a pretty good replica of what it would look like if you did a full mouth extraction there. And then once you have this model, if you needed to use this for any type of other tool or as a refractory model for something else, you could just print this out. But then you also have their original teeth, which you could then make a provisional from, and you basically have their exact occlusion, their exact anatomy, everything, just right away. So the segmentation is important, not just for statistical details and things like that, and for deep learning and stuff. It's truly just functional. It helps you select things and pick things out and do a variety of different things from that. So you got the teeth, like I said, the gingiva combined. Then I think I renamed this just to kind of keep it simple. So it's the same thing. I also made from that model you can make from the segment, or from any model you can make provisional crowns now. That's kind of what that looks like. Let me go back and show you, so I can just show you that because it's an easy one. Provisional crown. Import a model. Okay, and we are going to press go. Automatically makes a copy of the model, so no matter what you do, you're not going to ruin the original input. And it says select the tooth you want to provisionalize and press next. So you can use this thing called the manual smart select brush. I can show you that on a different video, but for now, this is already segmented out. So all I really need to do is just double click on any one of the colored teeth or several of the colored teeth. So why don't we do that? Actually, I'll actually click on the gingiva, and I'll hit I for inverse, and I'll hit O a few times, I guess 5. I love having this down here now because people can see what I'm doing with my keyboard, because I just subconsciously just press these keys. I just have them memorized. But you want to hit O quite a bit. It optimizes your selection, so it gets these little triangles that maybe weren't included. It includes it. So anyway, press O a few times, and so we have this selection now. And let's go. What do we want our thickness? On that one I showed you, I think it was 1. Let's just do the default, which I have just arbitrarily as 0.75 millimeters. And we'll hit next. So basically we're making a full arch provisional. This is obviously not something that's going to fit, a model right away. You're going to have to reline it. Or it kind of depends on what you're using this for. I mean, if you're doing a full mouth prep, like I said, the provisional would have to be relined clearly, and or if you're just using this to maybe base something that you're gonna to mill, it's a little bit different too. But either way, this is just kind of like an estimate. There's nothing like super exact, like a final crown and bridge. That's what I mean by that. It's not like a final crown and bridge type solution. But what it does do is it makes a perfect offset shell of the input, whatever it is, at whatever thickness you want. And that's the result. Turns out in dentistry, it makes provisionals very, very easily and very well. Full arch, quick, easy. So that's just, in my opinion, pretty amazing. And at some point here, I'm going to go through and show like all the different manual steps of how to do all of these things. But like I said, I've just been grinding away. I've known how to do all these things for such a long time, but to like put them into tools and to automate it, it just takes basically forever. So, but I have a really good, basically, you never want to say final product because you never know, but a good start at a final product here. So anyway, that's that full mouth provisional. Let's see, what else did I do here? We got you can do virtual extractions. I don't think that was possible in the last version of D3 Mesh. So I took that same model and I extracted it too. I'll show you that too because that's really easy. We'll go virtual extraction. It brings a pop up and it says you can use the smart selection brush. basically I made the extraction tool before I did the segmentation, so I was kind of assuming the whole time that none of this would be segmented, and you would have to manually select the tooth that you'd want to. And some people might just do that, you know. You may not want to run this through the segmentation. So if you did that and none of this was segmented, no colors, no face groups, what would happen is you'd have this brush like I do now automatically, and you can just left click, and it whoops, sorry, kind of got a little crazy there. Same here. I'm just holding control now. Control and click deselects and click selects. But anyway, the brush is set up to where it only selects up until a certain like angle threshold. So it's really convenient for selecting like teeth and things like that. The only problem is it kind of gives you this like little patterned looking selection. And again, I kind of got a little overzealous. But really what you need to do once you get used to this is just go around the border, and we'll select the vast majority of what you need. And once you have the vast majority of it, like it says kind of up there in the tool, like select 80, what does it say? 80 to 90%, which I feel like is what I got right there. You can press this complete selection and it will dilate out. Actually, I'll just show you. It will expand it out and then bring it back in and basically select all the, it'll fill in all those little places you didn't have selected before. So anyway, that did that and looks about the same, but either way, that's how you do it. If you don't want to use that, you still can just use the same brush and just double click on that. And we're going to go, I'm going to hit O a couple times to optimize that just to be safe. I'm going to go extract, makes a copy. Again, you don't want to accidentally do some irreversible damage to your original input model. And you may think, you know, like, what exactly just happened there? That's kind of cool. The colors look nice. But that actually is quite a bit of sitting there and figuring out the best ways to keep the adjacent teeth anatomy while also trying to replicate a little bit of an indented socket there. You know, the best you could for like a virtual type of an extraction. And I feel like even on really high res, very detailed models with a lot of weird curves to the teeth and rotations and things, it does an excellent job of maintaining anatomy even after you do extraction. Which there might be some other videos on YouTube of like of how to do extractions, you know, just with the select brush. You hit S, you double click, and then you can do something called erase and fill, which is the short key for that is F. I'm gonna hit F, and then yeah, I mean, not bad. You know, you can tinker with this a little bit, and it's pretty good. In this case, it's almost as good, or I don't know, arguably better. I don't know, maybe not, but you know, it's almost as good as this. But there's so many other cases where it just doesn't work. You can't do it that way, and it takes a lot of tinkering to get it perfect. So this way, it's the way that will work on basically every type of model, as far as I've tested, while keeping that, like I said, that anatomy over there. So anyway, that's that virtual extraction. And due to popular demand of myself, because I'm the only one using this, after doing the extract, instead of just deleting the tooth, I have it save the extracted tooth. I don't know where that is though. Oh, there it is. I have it kind of segmented out and or not segment, but separated out, and just save it as a different model just in case. You might want to use this for provisional or something else down the line, or add it to a tooth library, whatever, but at very least you have it. You can delete it if you want, but it's there. So instead of just deleting it when I'm doing the virtual extraction, it does save it as well. So you're welcome. Thank you to myself. And that's but I feel like that's a good thing to have. So prep model. Oh yeah, so this is you can now prep teeth, you know, virtually prep them. it's tough for me to really kind of think of too many uh, uses. I mean, I guess you could take this and use it as like a refractory model, and then kind of make provisionals from there. I guess there's a lot of things. But anyway, it virtually preps the tooth for you at a certain axial offset. So I'll show you here. Again, this is a quick one. So virtual prep. Hit go. Again, it's always going to copy the model. It was just something that I decided somewhere down the line. I'm like, you know what? I just got to do it that way. You end up with a lot of models, but at the same time, you don't accidentally ruin something. Select the tooth or use the virtual. Okay, so let's do those guys. I'm gonna hit O, optimize it, and prep. I think that I kept it at 1 for this up here, but I think it looks more realistic at like 0.9, which I know isn't much difference, but 0.1 millimeter when they collide with each other, 0.2 millimeters, I don't know, it can add up. 0.9, actually, it looks about the same, never mind. But there you go, virtual prep. I guess you could use this also for like a reduction guide to make sure you're kind of keeping things in the proper reduction. It only reduces things exactly in the whatever distance you give it. So as far as like undercuts and things like that go, it's never gonna touch that. It's literally just taking the top, whatever value you give it, that much off of from that top topology. But it's cool. And there you go. Let's see. Okay. Oh man. There's so many things here. Let me. Oh, geez. Let me just show you the. Have you seen the virtual vacuum former? Probably you can check on a different video there. Custom tray is basically the same. The only thing different there is I've changed the undercut algorithm. And this is and it spits out the undercut model. So if you want to use that, like I said, for like refractory or something like that, or just for a different tool later on, it keeps that model instead of just deleting it. I'm not sure if that's going to be helpful or not, but I figured, hey, let's keep it in there. But the undercuts, it's a little bit different now. Since it's specifically for the custom tray, I basically treat it just like you would if you're doing it in a clinical lab setting or in a lab setting. You put your layer of wax on wherever the undercuts are, and then you can choose that distance. And then from there, I take a little bit of my own liberty, and I kind of take just the most, I guess, inner part of that, and then I just make it a flat cut all the way around. And it kind of ends up with a really nice looking undercut removed model for a good custom tray. The exact undercut removal is where you take just the undercuts and you just extrude down all the way. But it's not really practical with custom trays because they end up with a really, really thick or big custom tray that is really hard to fit in somebody's mouth. So this is the same, and it works really, really, really well for this case. In fact, arguably, I think it's better than doing it than the true undercut removal algorithm, at least for custom trays. So it spits this out, which is nice. So you have that, and then, like I said, it makes the custom tray based on that. So that's also just slightly different, but it's the same. Let's see, that's good. Let's see. Oh, you can now, there's a support feature. So if you're going to be 3D printing your model, you can generate supports. I have it already dialed in for most resin set. Actually, the vast majority of resin settings, this will be good. Might be too much actually in a lot of cases, but all the settings are there. You can change it whatever you want, but this is, at least it's there now, and it's kind of preset for resin printers, and you just barely have to tweak it if you do want to tweak it at all. So kind of nice if you just want to do that straight away. Although I think the vast majority of people are probably just going to be doing that in their printing software, but still, it's here in case you need it. And we did the Provisional Crown extractions. We got the flipper now, which is really cool. I'm not going to go through the whole tool because that takes not quite a while, but too long, I think, for this video. So I'll just show you the end result here, which is 2 pieces. You end up with the tooth and then the base. The reason I did this is because companies like Formlabs are coming out with the denture tooth and denture base resin, so you're going to have to print those things out in 2 separate pieces. Now, arguably, this could and should be printed out in just 1 piece, especially if you're just doing the lingual. If you did it all in the tooth color, who would know the difference? It's probably easier, and I probably should have done it that way to begin with, but still, it's not that way. It generates 2 separate pieces, the tooth and the base. And from this point, I feel like it's fairly trivial to, if you kind of know what you're doing, to combine these 2 things together. And then you could just have the 1 piece if you wanted. But it not only generates the 2 pieces, but it generates the 2 pieces with an offset just enough to where you can bond these 2 pieces together. There's a little spacer gap there. And beyond that, if you look at the underside of the tooth that's generated, it's got this little protrusion that helps kind of snap into the base on the other side. So this is the way that you generally make these things or fabricate these things. Is when you 3D print them, you don't cure them individually. You 3D print them, they're in their green state. You add the resin at that point, kind of connect them, and then cure the whole thing as one. Pardon me, it just makes a more uniformly cured final product. So I have all this built in to kind of aid with that process. It won't just fumble around on you. It should snap in. And what I found is if you kind of have the model already there, you put all this together on the model and do your little tack curing there. It's really, really simple to get this done. So, and this works for, and this took a long time. It works for the vast majority of models that I've tested it on. I think all the models I've tested it on, anterior teeth, posterior teeth, long teeth, short teeth, teeth with embrasures, teeth without. I mean, there's so many different things. But as far as I know, it's working very, very well for those types of things. And again, this is a tool just to generate something that you can then take and then manipulate after it's printed. You're going to have to do a little bit of finishing. You're going to have to do a little bit of, grinding, polishing, those types of things. So this is just kind of to get you started to the final product. This is a really, really good starting point. And the flipper, like I said, there's that. I'll show you what that looks like on the model, actually, on the virtual model. And see, this is nice because I can tell which model is done on. It was done on D3 extract model, seg model, Maxar, this guy. Oop, that guy. And there you go. And from here, you may want to do, a little bit of tweaking, but like I said, this is a good starting point. And I'll show you in a different video how this all works. There's a lot more details than what it kind of just looks, but it's a cool thing. So there's that. Let's see. That's basically everything. Splint, it's the one thing that my buddy Patrick, he's got down. So instead of kind of recreating the wheel here, I have it just bridge over to his software. So you can locate where it's at and press go, and it will just bridge right on over to his software. So that's the one shortcut I did do. But I felt like it was justified. And the part library expanded greatly. Um, quickly just show you some of those. 3D printing. Oops, I think I need something selected actually for this to work. And that's only because it just basically does a click for you. But if you didn't, even if you didn't want to click that over here, you just come over here to Meshmix, and they're all just sitting right here anyway. So it just, all this does is just click the right menu for you. But 3D printing, it's got some tools that I typically use. I think most people typically use for 3D printing. This one's specific to the Form 2, so is this. Some calibration cubes, funnel, some basic stuff. Your existing labels, model attachments. These also are kind of 3D printing related. If you're printing a model vertical, this is just a tiny little support that you can just place right under maybe the heels, and that will help sometimes. So I have some of those things that I've created, or at least these ones I've tinkered around with and created myself. A vertical model. If you wanted to, you could 3D print several vertical models on top of each other, one underneath this, and then one sitting on top of that, and then you do another one of these, and so on and so forth. So you can use the full build volume of your 3D printer. Tooth attachments. These are like ortho attachments. They're kind of the simulated type thing. I read a paper on, and there's another video on my channel about that, of what the best are for retention, the best geometries are for retention. I just copied that geometry basically and made all the different types. So there's the ovoid, the rectangular, the square, the beveled, the non-beveled, all those things. So you can use those as kind of like a baseline. Tooth libraries. This is all Dr. Christian Brenes. Everything here is him. He's the master. He has developed these libraries, and it's just phenomenal. And it makes the flipper tool possible, and many other things. But they're all here. So that's nice and very helpful. Tray handles, and that's it. So again, kind of starting from these 2 scans, and that's it. We made everything else. Provisionals, custom trays. I didn't even show you some of this other stuff. You can make logos on your labels now, not just text. You can do logos. So that's coming up in an upcoming video. And a lot of, and geez, here's the align models. I didn't show you that. There's more power functions. There's a lot of things I didn't show you, but these are just some highlights. So anyway, that's what it is. And this is all generated, like I said, from these 2 models, just from these 2 input scans, all through Meshmixer, and that's it. So hope you like this little preview here. Like I said, this is called D3Lab. It's coming out very, very soon, so keep your eyes peeled. Check out d3tool.com. Check out the Facebook group, D3 Tool users, for more information. But this is easily coming out in the next couple weeks. So get ready to have some fun, because this thing is amazing. And like I said, I use it every single day. So, all right, have a good night, and talk to you later.